Hey guys, thanks for tuning us in for this 47th episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include sports handicapper and good friend of the show, Brandon Lang. We'll also visit with another friend of the show, country artist, Shari Rowe. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and of course, share with your friends. Our first guest is our good friend, sports handicapper, sports betting specialist, Brandon Lang. We'll talk about, where we're at in the world as a people today, and we'll also take a look at some picks for the weekend. Brandon, first off, happy Thursday to you, my friend.
Thanks, bud. What's happening, man?
Back doing things remotely. You know, it's the story for 2020, right?
Unbelievable. It really is. It's, and then you go off of that and looks what's going on with our country with the election. And it's almost, I don't know about you, and not to get political because this is more about sports handicapping, but I'm a little bit of ashamed to be an American citizen and not afraid to say it. And it's just it's a sad day for America more than anything else. It has nothing to do with being Democratic, has nothing to do with being Republican, has nothing to do with being independent, has nothing to do with your political values. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we live right now in a country that's dishonest with the American people.
Yeah.
That something shady is going on someplace in the deep bowels of democracy, if you will, where we the people doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's sad. But with all that being said, thank God we have sports to distract us from the chaos of what's going on. Great to see the MAC conference is back. Remember, people don't realize, for your listeners, that the MAC conference was absolutely the first conference to say we're not playing when the COVID came out. And then to see the MAC regroup along with the Big Ten, it basically went the MAC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12. Those were the first three that said we're not playing. And how ironic it is that the Big Ten, CAC, followed by the MAC, and now the Pac-12 is back. So the first three that bowed out were the last three to come back in, but at least to come back in. And if you watched any MAC football last night, the excitement, enthusiasm these kids played at, because people have to realize that these kids went to college to play football and they're on full scholarship, and to rip their heart out to not allow them to play, man, the excitement and the quality of football. You had some great MAC games last night. Central Michigan and Ohio was a great game. Miami of Ohio and Ball State was a great game. You had a couple of blowouts with Western Michigan and Buffalo. But it was just great to see the MAC back. So sports takes our mind off it, and it just thank God we have sports.
That's right. Now, Brandon, this year, I think it's apparent, obviously, how much of an effect the practices and all that has had on the games and the COVID and all that stuff. Has that made your job that much more difficult going into the weekend of picks?
Well, it's funny. Not that it's made it more difficult. It just gives you, from a handicapping standpoint, a game just to check off your ballot and go away from and go look for value elsewhere. That's the great thing about, the business model that we put together at BrandonLang.com is each one of my handicappers just picks one play a day. The site had a really good day yesterday because a lot of guys had Buffalo, a lot of guys had Miami of Ohio, which both covered. Once a game is COVID related with players out, you just move off that game and go find a line or another game you like. So from that standpoint, it's made it actually easier to have to do it again.
So what are maybe some of the highlighted games for you, college football games coming up over the weekend?
Well, it's funny. I feel bad for your OKC people with that game last week. I said in breaking down that game for your listeners, I said OKC would win by a field goal, and it was looking like it was going to be just that. And that Tom Herman is an underdog, man. It's unbelievable. It really is. And going right at the heart of that, You got OKC rebounding now, and Gundy rocking and rolling and taking his team into Kansas State, who got their absolute butt handed to them by West Virginia. So it's kind of like who rebounds in that game. I tend to think that one thing about Oklahoma State is they are a resilient bunch, and he always gets that team to bounce back. He always gets that team to get up off the deck and rally and rally back. So as I speak about all that, they're laying 12.5 here on the road. Last time I checked, which between me and you, that seems a little high. That doesn't make sense to me. I think that's a bad line. Let me go to BrandonLang.com to get my lines here. Just to double check that, because I know the game of local interest is the one that everybody likes. So let me just real quick and be patient with me, because then we'll fly through it from there. Should I have been a little more? Should I have been a little more organized in having this game ready for you? Yes, I should have. So I apologize to your listeners. There it is. No, it's 12.5. I'll say it again. Like Oklahoma State wins the game, but I think Kansas State keeps it close and stays within that number. So I like them a little bit. In the Big Ten Conference, keep an eye on Northwestern at home. They went into Iowa and went outright. They're playing great football right now. They got an Indiana transfer quarterback in Ramsey. They're laying 4 at home. I like them in this spot. Take Northwestern at home. So you got Northwestern, and then let's roll the dice with Kansas State plus double digits over in the NFL. You can't touch Green Bay and San Francisco with the COVID and everything going on, which we talked about. That's crazy with all these players in COVID. Keep an eye on Indianapolis at home +2. Crimea Rivers against Lamar Jackson. I've been saying it all along. I think they're a little overrated. And I believe that we're going to see a great effort out of Crimea River and then the Colts at home +2 points. And last but surely not least, I believe Sunday night that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints are going to go over the posted total of 52. And I do believe that Tampa Bay minus the 4.5 is going to blow New Orleans out by double digits.
Wow. That's the shocker.
Yep. So revenge from game 1 of the year. Antonio Brown will be playing in that game. And mark my words, Antonio Brown and Tom Brady will hook up for a pass play of more than 40 yards. And Antonio Brown is going to have a massive monster game against that Saints secondary.
And of course, Brandon, folks can always go BrandonLang.com and also the podcast. When's the newest episode coming?
That'll come on Friday. We couldn't do it last week because I had to go back to the hospital for this whole Lyme disease, septic arthritis on my knee to figure out what was going on. So we skipped it last week, but we'll tape that on Friday. It'll drop for the weekend. As I always say on your show, under 18 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian.
Well, Brandon, always good to visit with you, my friend, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, buddy boy. Be safe.
Promised you another special guest, and we've been friends for a few years now. Actually, she made a trip down in studio with the full band a couple years ago. Shari Rowe on the line, and first off, Shari, always good to talk to you, my friend.
It's so good to talk to you too. It's been a while, and it's just it's good to catch up.
Now, the new single Southwest just released, and how excited are you to have new music out there, especially like we mentioned before we came on, being 2020 as it is?
Yeah, I mean, I am really blessed to say that just before the pandemic hit, I had been in Nashville tracking a bunch of new music, and it got held up for a little while in the mixdown process when all the studios shut down, but thankfully, they all came through, and I've got them. I've got my little song babies to introduce to the world. And so I'm very, very thankful that I have that, considering we can't get out there and see fans face to face.
And coming out with new music in the midst of all this, you've done this before. So how different and what was the new challenges that maybe you didn't foresee coming into the new single?
Well, we're usually out there seeing fans face to face and playing the song live, and there's an energy, like you mentioned when we visited with the full band. I mean, there's nothing like having my band family and those relationships, and that energy that we have together is something that, it's a very important element. It's very special. So, now being able to see fans and really put that song out there and get the crowd feedback. I mean, that's obviously, the biggest challenge, I would say, but I think connecting online is more important than ever. And social media, finding out how fans are getting through the year themselves. I found more and more because, as my faith is a huge part, that's of my life. It's foundational. And I think doing the live streams, I've even found, because I'm that kind of person, I miss just being in the stores and talking with strangers and hearing people's stories. And I'm just like, I have, I'm very empathic. I like to be with people. So I've even found online and live streams, just really checking in with people has been a big part of my shift, and it's never been just about the entertainment, but I think, really tuning in with people and finding out how they're doing is important.
And obviously, all of the social medias have had to adjust too. I know the live streams and the takeovers, when those first got underway, it was a challenge, I would say, at to put it mildly. What was it? What was it like the first few times playing to the screen and getting no reaction back until well after the fact? I mean, at the end of that performance, what's that like, Shari?
It's so different, Cameron. I mean, I feed off of that energy and the feedback and eye contact and all of that. It means so much. I'm all about that relationship with the crowd. So that was a challenge. And honestly, when everything first shut down, I had just gotten back from Nashville, like I mentioned, and my engineer in the studio was very sick when I left the studio and ended up getting quarantined. And I came home and got horribly sick. And this was before testing. And I was sick for the first 6 weeks of the shutdown. I couldn't sing. I couldn't contribute. I felt just paralyzed. It really was a challenge for me to kind of be in that spot where, okay, I can't go out there, but I'm also sick and I can't contribute to this online experience. And I found myself kind of going, okay, God, well, I am a partaker. I am tuning in. I'm listening to these other artists. And at the end of the day, it really gave me an appreciation for what, the position that the fan is in and being able to receive from that. So when I finally was able to get online and do my first live stream, wasn't getting that crowd reaction right away that we're used to, but it was just such a relief for me to finally open my mouth, be able to sing and build that part of what I can do, during this year.
And I've talked to so many singers and songwriters about what 2020 is, but and one of my the things I like to learn is what have you learned most about Shari and about the road to 2021?
That's a really good question because there's the music side of it and what we've learned about how to reach fans and how to keep the momentum going, but really on a personal level, I honestly don't. I don't know how people get through these kinds of things without having some sort of prayer life or, spirituality, faith. And for me, I've just realized, it was just a great reminder that my purpose and my identity isn't solely wrapped up in the music. And it is a part of what I do. It is, I believe it's a strong part of my purpose and what I'm made to do. But it's really important. I think I've just done a lot of reflecting and I think it's helped me moving ahead. I really want to write some stuff that goes a little bit deeper, and not be afraid to show that vulnerability a little bit more. And I think more than ever, we all need something that is very real and something that really gives us a lifeline of hope. And so for me, I think it's helped me to kind of, those roots of my faith have gone deeper and just realizing, that we have so many ways of reaching out to those around us.
Now, Shari, have you had the opportunity to play any live shows at all since the whole shutdown?
I have, we did a live stream at a lighting company in Phoenix, and that was the closest we've gotten to that lit lighting when, they have all of their tours shut down. They do major stage lighting and tour lighting, and they were really great. They opened up their studios as soon as they were able to do so safely. And so we had a film crew and the lighting crew and, some rigging people and stuff like that, and then the full band. And we did 2 shows with them, very safely. But that was the closest we've gotten to that experience. It was great to see the guys in the band, though. It's only been two times this year, 3 times total that I've been with the band this year. So sure miss those guys.
Now, has the 2020 and all that's been involved in it, has it inspired the writing, or has it made it maybe been a blockage for the writing purposes?
Yeah, I think it's been both at times. Being my personality, I think we all have our good days and our days that are a little bit more of a struggle, right? So I've definitely had those times where, you sort of feel like, gosh, why am I even writing? What am I doing? Like, does this even matter? And then other days when, again, I'm reminded that, I have to write, that it's in me. I have to make music. I have to sing. I have to open, put my voice to things, and if I don't do that, I find that in every way, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, I suffer for lack of creativity. I have to keep going. So it's just as much for my own, relief and sanity as it is for just wanting to get music out there to everybody. It's just who I am. So.
That's right. And again, the new single, Southwest. Shari, I want to make sure and let our listeners know where to find more about the single, the upcoming music you've got, and of course any live streams or other upcoming events as well.
Thanks, Cameron. Yeah, it's Southwest. I'm super excited about it. It's fun because it's coming off the heels of a song I put out before that's called The Heavy, which was, it was a great opportunity to kind of inspire hope. And I love being able to do that. Southwest, I'm excited because it's just fun. And it's about where I'm from. It's a great representation of the Southwest and the Wild West. And it's a lot of fun. Fans can find it anywhere they're used to streaming and downloading music. Of course, ShariRowe.com is a great hub for all the links to social media and streaming. But we are working on dates for next year. I'm starting to get bookings coming in. So Lord willing and the creek don't rise, all of that pans out. But in the meantime, I am, on social media here and there. Live streams are popping up more and more. We're kind of giving those a break in between just so they don't lose their sparkle, So, but we will be doing more of those. And I just miss everybody. So I'll do my best to get back out there as soon as we can.
Well, Shari, always good to visit with you. Hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend, and look forward to talking again real soon, my friend.
Thanks, Cameron. Take care. God bless.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, anything else you'd like to know, find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. We'll be back with episode number 48 coming up tomorrow.